Boards and booze, booze and boards, drinks and beers, fight some hordes. Drank too much, forgot our swords, ran back home, filled our gourds, got drunk again, sang some chords. Boards and booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb.
Hey everyone! So the first season is coming to a close, right, Mickey?
Yep. The last.
They've gone through 11 episodes plus a couple bonus episodes, and they've made it to the 12th episode,
Fan pick.
the fan pick.
Fan pick. Which one?
Dungeon Petz. If you didn't see us actually draw it out of the hat, this is it.
There it is.
It is a worker placement. Ish, I guess. Yeah, plenty of worker placement. But then there's a lot of other things added in to make it a lot of fun.
Right.
And I know one thing is the flavor and the fluff is all that's really good.
Yeah,
it's just like Dungeon Lords with their stuff.
Not exactly like Dungeon.
The fluff stuff.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
By Check's Game and
What is it, 2 to 4 players?
Yep.
90 minutes, which I don't see that happening, but we'll see.
Lada Chavatal
Yeah.
is the designer, and he's one of my favorites. So, again, the game is Dungeon Petz, and I guess in just a second we'll go over components with you. After components, we'll go over mechanics, and then we will play a 4-player game with Kim and Hailey. So we'll see you in just a second.
All right. So in this portion, we'll go over the components. We'll just show you what they are, not go too in depth for now.
Yeah, we'll wait till the setup, and we'll give you more of a background on where and what the components actually do.
Yeah.
So
I guess let's start with the central board.
Yep, central board.
That is the big board where all the action is going to go on. There's 2 sides of it.
Okay. So
and I guess we should point out there's nothing here, but when you flip it over, there's going to be some arrows.
it might be hard to see, but there's arrows between certain spots. Yeah. Here's an arrow. Here's an arrow.
There's some down there as well.
And just real quick, basically the difference between the sides is the arrow in a 2 or 3 person game. It's a mechanic for that basically puts things that block these spaces so that it scales better with 2 or 3 players. But we'll be playing with 4, so it won't really matter. But anyways, just real quick, it does work well in how the game functions, having the dummy figures going around the board. But on this side, again, no arrows, so that's the side we'll be playing on.
Alright, if you want to fold that up,
Alright.
We'll move this over. And we'll go over the progress board, or just say that it's the progress board.
Progress board, and basically progress board is the time tracker or round tracker. So you've got 5 rounds for 4 players, 6 rounds for 2 and 3. 2 and 3 imps are in the corner to indicate that you're playing with 2 or 3 people. 4 imps in this corner for 4 players. So again, nicely set up, and we'll go over what goes on each spot during setup.
All right.
Anything else, Jim?
I think that covered it.
All right.
Next are the burrow boards, and that's for each player.
Yep.
I think they're different colors.
You know what? Why don't you bring these both in at the same time? Basically, the combination of these 2 are your player boards. Like Jeb said, this is your burrow. This is where you're going to keep your pets. This is your cages and stuff. Also note that these fold up and to the side because at one stage in the game you are going to you're going to place your stuff secretly so that other people can't see what you're doing. So that goes like that.
And at the top there's some reference.
Yeah, so you remember what stuff does and what the penalties are if you don't have certain things. And 4 colors.
Yep.
These are all exactly the same, so it doesn't matter on those.
So let's go over what the components are, since it looks like there's a good amount of stuff, right?
Right, yeah, there is. This can kind of look a little overwhelming, but I think once we start to play, you'll see that it's not as bad as it looks. These are your pets. They basically are eggs. They are on little dials. I'll explain that in a little bit. But those are the pets for the game.
Next up are the cages, and they're That's what they look face down. Oh, there's a coin in there or something. Those are the face down cages. If you flip them face up, there's numbers on them and different designs and whatever. They have their own.
And you will be able to purchase these throughout the game.
Yep. And what if you have a cage and you want to make it look nicer? What would you buy?
You could buy an add-on, Jeb.
Yep. And you flip them over, and they have special abilities.
Special abilities.
After that are the artifacts, which I believe are these bad boys, right?
That's correct.
And they are just all
special power types of things. They look like this on one side, and then there's a nice little appendix reference, and then they all look like this on the other side, so you won't know what's coming. Right. So those are artifacts. They have a little, looks like a money bag, actually.
Yeah.
This is what the picture looks like.
After that, we've got food.
Food. So we have two types of food.
Green and the red.
We have plants and meat.
Yep.
And these are the food tokens.
Simple enough, right?
That's right.
After that are the need cards. And that's actually these 4.
That's correct.
Not this one. That's something else.
These are needs cards.
I guess they kind of like tell what the pet needs to.
So basically, this is most of these are eating related. Most of these are angry related, or if your pet flips out. These are related to playing, keeping your pet happy, and these are magic requirements for your pet, and you'll see a little some more detail later. But those are the needs. Those are the 4 needs your pets could possibly have. Thing is, though, that just because it's a green card, which is usually hunger, there could be a play requirement in a green card. So that's how they mix that up.
Yep.
Then the last set of cards are the potion cards, which are basically a wild card for anything.
Mm-hmm. After that are different types of tokens. We've got suffering, manure, and mutation.
Okay, so the suffering are the black/gray cubes.
Yep. They just track the suffering when in game.
Yep.
The manure are the brown ones.
Poop tokens. Yay! Who doesn't like a game with poop?
And these little funny looking guys are the mutation tokens.
Which are really awesome. They're kind of cute. They're eyeballs. The side makes absolutely no difference.
Yeah.
They just did double-sided tokens. One's just the tentacle suction cup things, and the other's eyeball. Again, they mean exactly the same thing no matter what side they're on.
Next up are the imps, our little workers for the game.
Yep. Each player is going to take their colored imp. We haven't separated them yet, but red, green, yellow, and blue. Each person will take all their imps, and they will start with a certain amount, and they will be able to acquire more during the game.
I guess we should do the
Minions, same as they go along with the imp. Each player has 2 minions. One is for tracking exhibitions, and the other one is for tracking victory points for the whole game. And then to go along with that, basically, if you pass
50 or
what
100.
do they call it? I don't know, bonus or whatever. So if you pass the 50 mark, you put him on top of the 50, and if you go around again, you can flip it to 100. And again, each one of the colors.
Money.
Okay. So we have gold, nice round yellow gold tokens. The progress or a round marker, whatever you want to call it.
Simple enough.
And first player with the happy face. What do we got for the last 2, Jeb?
That's easy. One's exhibition and one's customer. So these are the exhibition.
That's correct. These are the exhibition cards. So these will randomly come up throughout the game, and you actually will know what's coming up. So you can try to plan for it. And when we explain a little bit more, but basically you'll want to, hopefully your pet will match the good stuff on the exhibition and not the bad stuff in order to score victory points. Okay, and like Jeb said, these are the customers. what you're trying to do, obviously, is raise your pets and sell them to the dungeon lords. And in a nutshell, real quick, the dungeon lords have what they like, what they don't like, and I won't give a in-depth explanation, but basically, you're going to take your how many points of like, how many points of dislike you got on your pet, and if you're still positive, the guy will buy it, and that's how that works. And then you'll be able to sell him a pet and get gold and stuff like that. So that's all the components. And in just a second, I think what we're going to do, since this one is probably one of the more complicated games that we're going to show you, is that during setup, I think we're going to actually explain what the stuff does, and then instead of trying to, because things change in this game, instead of trying to do a couple of playthroughs, we're just going to jump into the game. I think that'll be easier for you guys to figure out.
Yeah.
One of the things that Jeb and I like to try to do a little bit different than some of the other people is, most of the time when you guys see us play, we've only played the game a couple times, or maybe not even at all. It might be our first playthrough. So if you're watching us, you're really getting a good idea of what a early game might be like if you were sitting down with your friends and stuff, and how it would be to get through it. So we might not be as polished, but it's real world. So anyways, we'll be back in a second with setup.
Alright, so to begin setup, the first thing you need to do is place the central board in the center of the table, wherever.
And remember to get how many ever people you're playing with, make sure you got the right side up.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a 4-player, so we would be actually on the other side, right?
That's right, and there's imps up there that let you know that.
So we'll do that. And then the progress board, same thing. You check to see we're on the 4-player side.
Actually, those aren't imps to tell you what side, it's only the arrows.
Yeah.
I lied. This one has the imps. But we're on the right side over there.
Alright, so after you place those, you want to give all the players, or every player chooses a color, and they take their imps, minions, achievement tile, and burrow board. So
And
lots of stuff.
Since blue's the best color, we'll show you. We'll put blue over there.
So we got blue. Here's the little cage for it, or I guess it's not really. It's the thing with the cages. Don't laugh at me.
All right, there's the blue.
Blue guys.
The blue imps and his minions.
And also that little...
And this tracker also for if they get over.
So all of that goes over to each player gets their color.
Yep.
The starting player is going to get the starting token, and the rule says, or the book says, the person who fed a pet recently. You can do that or not, whatever. Floats your boat. One thing to note is that you have to actually assemble stuff when you open this game. So there are some things like, what is it?
There's some stickers, on the minions, and the other thing is all these little eggs have to be put together with a little clip that makes it spin.
Alright, so let's first talk about the progress board. So the progress board helps keep track of what happens each round. The first thing you do is place the progress marker
on the one spot.
Yep, and that's going to keep track of the rounds. Extra imps are placed in the 4 squares. So as
everybody is going to put 1 imp in each square, and then the other colors would do the same thing. So everybody will have 4 imps in each one of those squares.
Yep. Next, you are going to randomize the 8 exhibitions and deal 1 to each space face down.
These are the exhibitions again. I deal them face down.
And on the board, there's actually the spots, so pretty easy.
And then we are going to flip that one.
Yep, flip first. The upper part depicts the rules for scoring. So on the exhibition tile, the upper part says the rules for the scoring. The bottom part determines the food in the market for that round. Next thing you want to do is randomize 8 customers and deal them face down.
And again, these are the customers. We're still talking about the progress board, so they're down there. take note that if you notice, I'll talk about it while I shuffle these. The exhibitions won't start until round 2, and the being able to sell a pet does not happen.
They're face down.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they all go face down, and then the first one is flipped face up. So, I think even in Dungeon Lords it was similar, where you could see the future round.
You do get to see that, and that was probably, I'm sure none of us noticed what the other ones were, so it doesn't really matter. The point is, that doesn't start till round 3, and also notice that in the final round, there are actually, there are 2 customers, and each player is allowed to sell to each one pet.
And then also there is the final scoring exhibitions, which are actually on the board, and that happens after the last round. And I think the only other thing we need to note is that the food for round 1 is already on the board.
Yep, it's static.
Alright, so that's everything for the progress board setup. Next we'll move to the central board. Alright, so for setup, the pet pile, what you're going to do is mix up the pets and put them all face down.
So I'll put them just to the side here. There's definitely a variety of pets.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cute too. It's kind of funny. They're all silly monster type of stuff.
So on the board there are younger pets and older pets. And the way we do setup is you draw 3 pets from the pile and put face up. So you will
want me to do? I'm doing the younger ones.
Younger ones.
All right. So the younger ones, and so what you want to do is once you draw the pet, you want to make sure that they are set at level 2, and all that means is that the first 2 colors are showing. So if you notice, if you can see me spinning, or Jeb spinning,
I'm spinning as well.
He's showing you how to set them at level 2.
Yep.
And then also notice on your egg, keep that up there, Jeb. Over on the right-hand side of the egg, do you see those little arrows? That tells you, once you own the pet, how many it spins to grow, which we'll get into a little later.
That's cute.
The symbol, there's a symbol also right by the arrows that's actually on the pet that's either a leaf or a hunk of meat or both. That means, that tells you what kind of pet it is. Mm-hmm. So you either have the carnivore, the herbivores, or the omnivores. So there's those 3 different types of pets. As a matter of fact, Jeb, since you picked that one, why don't you go ahead and let that be the starter in the top.
I was laughing because this whole season they get little pictures of the components with arrows all nicely done, and in this one they get my fat finger pointing to everything. Alright, so for the older ones, you're going to draw 2 of the pets. Oh no, draw 1 pet and make it size 3. So I moved that to the 3 spaces, and he goes in the older pet zone.
Oh, can we do somebody different? Let's keep him out. He was a bonus thing that came in later. Figures Jeb would pick that one.
Alright, so Mickey's
just so we don't have to look up any more rules than we probably already will.
Okay.
I'll show you real quick. This is Bob. His name is actually Bob. Notice that he has no colors. Evidently, you get to, if I remember correctly, you get to pick every turn what color you want him to be, and then all his things are the same color or something like that. So we're not going to play any special rules today, but there was Bob.
Wow, I picked the worst one possible. I mean, he's cool.
Yeah, he is cool. He's Bob.
Alright, so the next thing is the cage stack. So what you want to do is mix up all the cages face down, as Mickey is doing, and you're going to...
Actually, since Jeb's on the other side of the table, I will let him stack it, because that's probably where it would sit anyways, down there.
Ooh, that's a little off the camera, but that's fine.
It's right below here. Yep. Put the cages,
and then you're going to draw 3 of them and place them in the 3 zones. Look how sloppily I place them. Alright.
So we'll probably come back to this again, but real quick on the cages, notice the numbers. The big red number is, I believe it's called anger. The anger strength of the cage, and the big purple numbers are the magic level of the cage that it can hold. Yep. We'll explain more of that later, but just so you know.
Alright, next are the add-ons. So as you saw before, the add-on stack. You do the same thing, just randomize them, set them there.
They're below there if you can't see it.
And
Flip
set
the
it
2
there.
over.
And they have numbers and colors that I guess correspond to what a
Right.
cage would have.
So basically, if that add-on was on that cage, that 0 would go to a 1. If that add-on was on that cage, that anger would go to a level 4.
Alright, next is the artifact stack. So for the artifacts, you mix them up. I think
Yeah.
they're pretty mixed up already. And they're actually up top. So
I'm going to slide this up a little bit and stick that
There.
right there.
And then you're going to flip 2 of them.
Yep.
And that's where they go on the board, where Mickey's dropping them. After that, you're going to sort the food tokens and populate the food market.
Alright, so all the green ones go in the veggie pile.
And all the red will go in the meat pile.
And then all the red will go in the meat pile. There you go, Jeff.
It probably helped Mickey, instead of watching him and making him do everything.
Alright, and if you were paying attention to Jeb, you remember that he said that the populating the market was static in the first round. So we're going to put 2 veggies in the veggie stand. No, that's where the mint stands.
Oh.
1 meat and 1 veggie in the whatever stand. And then
Omnivores.
the meat stand gets 2 meat.
Alright. After you populate the food market, you're going to put all the gold coins into the bank.
And the bank is right in the middle.
Where is it?
Right there.
Oh, wow, there's so many tokens. Mickey's shaking his head, and Kim's laughing at me. Alright.
Yeah, we just learned to live with Jeb.
Alright.
He's special.
Alright, next you want to place minions on the 0 space of the scoring track and the exhibition tent.
Alright, so we don't have everybody going right now, but we have the blue players. So what that means is that 1 imp there and 1 imp on the 0 spot of the exhibition track.
Alright, the potion stack, you're going to set 5 potion cards in the stack. I think there's only 5, right?
And look, oh, there's 5. And guess what? You don't have to shuffle them because why? They're all the same.
And you just kind of set those off to the, or you put them here, right? In the, or actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that is.
Not.
That's the
Alright,
hospital.
the needs decks, you're going to separate them and shuffle them.
So those were the 4 colored decks.
And I think you just put them off to the side, right?
Yep, they just go off to the side. So I don't know that we've shuffled them yet, but that's okay because we're not starting quite yet. So we'll probably put them off. Well, I don't know if we'll end up staying like this, but you get the idea.
And let's see, we'll move this out of the way.
Okay.
These out of the way. And we're going to next put all the suffering, manure, and mutation tokens in a pile. I'll move these like this. So
See, sometimes Jeb has smarter ideas than me.
it comes and goes, people. Alright.
It doesn't happen often. Come on, people! You gotta admit, you know what? A game that's got poop.
Yep. And don't forget these guys.
Too bad they're not like little poop emojis.
There's somebody that sells them.
Oh,
the little
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I might need to get those.
Alright, so that's everything to set up the central board.
Alright, so the next thing we're going to go over before we get into the details of the board now that it's set up is to basically we'll start how a turn would go, right?
Well, let's
Basically,
first explain
the board and then
let's
talk about
explain.
that. Alright,
So that's
here's the player board.
Yep, the burrow board.
The burrow board.
The technical term.
Right, and it does fold up like that. It doesn't have to stay like this all the time. But
I
there
don't
will
think
be,
they can see it.
There will be
There you go.
there will be a point on when you want this to. It doesn't need to stay like this all the time. There's only a quick portion that will happen. So, anyways, what do you got first on the board, Jim?
All right, we've got imp quarters and the treasury.
Okay.
That's the place where you put the imps and the gold.
All right, so that is right here.
And
Right in the middle.
when you start the game, everybody gets 6 imps and 2 gold.
And if you notice, we have the 6 imps.
And there's the gold from the bank. So blue has workers and some money. Next thing are the exits.
And those are here. And we'll explain what that's for in just a second.
Food storage.
Right here. So you have a meat storage one and a vegetable storage one. And one of the really cool things about this game is, yes, the food will spoil.
Yep, so they move over 1 per round until they actually completely expire. They get taken off. And then the final thing is the artifact storage.
Which is down here. So that you'll have a place to set any special powers that you get.
Yep. And then the other thing is the top part of the burrow board is like a reference kind of thing. The left side is, what is that, the turn order?
Yes, or what happens each turn in a round. So this is phase. That's the word we're looking for. Phase 1, 2, and I think there's 6, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after the phases, there's this thing which tells how many of each type of cards are in each of the needs decks.
Which is important if
So-
you're trying to play odds on stuff.
Yeah, so like Mickey said, in the green one, there's going to be a lot of green. So as you can see, that whole row is green, but there is a mix of other things. So that's the.
But the point is, the odds are if you take
Yeah.
a green, if you're going to draw out of the green pile, you're going to get your best odds are you're going to get a hunger requirement, which is what the bowl is.
And then finally is this side of the burrow board. What is that? That's the.
Oh, it's
how to deal with your
how to
needs
deal
cards.
with the needs and the penalty if you don't. And I don't know if you can see it real good, but let's just say, I'll give you the example for the first one. So that's a hunger, and the hunger requires whatever the pet wants. It either wants a vegetable or it wants a meat, and if you don't give it that, that pet's going to take a suffering token.
And just to point it out, there's the little poop image and there's the poop token.
Yeah.
So.
Which is funny because there's no penalties because basically a pet knows how to poop, so they do.
Yeah. All right, so that's everything for the burrow board. Let's do the pet display board really quick, which is over here. That's the place that houses all the cages. So you start with an initial cage, and that's the top left is the strength number, and the top right is the anti-magic number. So that's what you have to start with.
And I believe the cage comes messy too.
It starts with the poop.
Yep.
Yep.
It does.
So there's a poop in there. And then these other plots are where you can put the cages you buy. And then up in here are the add-ons, as you can see. And I don't know if it's really necessary to say yet, but there's spaces that you can put imps if you go that route.
They can take care of some duties for you.
Yeah. So that's everything.
Duties.
That's their duty. Dead silence on the joke. All right.
But,
so yeah.
and again, anger, magic. So you get
strength and anti-magic.
Strength and anti-magic, whatever.
Yeah.
It's how mean the pet is, and if you can contain its magic and stuff like that. That's how it's pretty cool. But 1-1, that's not bad.
All right.
I guess to start.
And then another thing for the setup, which you're fine. The achievement tile, which we kind of just put off to the side, that's for if your reputation passes 50. What you'll do is just, I guess, flip it over and put your guy on it, or you just hold it next to you with that number.
Or you can just
wanna
put
do
it on
with
the board. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want the imp to ride on it, but whatever.
And then the last thing for setup that we need to do is everybody gets 4 needs cards, 1 of each color. So this is what blue's going to get. Here, I'll just flip it over so they can see it. They got a food.
Suffering.
Another,
It's not a suffering. An illness.
and another food.
And also, if you'll notice that some of these cards have a double. Sorry, Jeb's going to show you in just a second.
There you go.
They have a top and a bottom. The bottom, where there are 2 symbols, is for advanced or alternate way to play or whatever. We are not using those during this game. We are just going to play regular.
Yep. So we just look at the one on the center.
These are kept secret from everybody else. And they're sure, so it's just like having a hand of cards, and you will use those during phase 4 or 5. I can't remember right off the top of my head.
All right, so that's the initial setup. So we will now go over a round. Okay, so gameplay. An overview of it is.
You talking?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. All right, so the game happens over a number of rounds, which, as we said earlier, there's 5 rounds. No
What
respect.
Jeb says
I get
is
no
in
respect.
Yeah, sometimes I listen to Jeb, sometimes I don't.
All right, so each round there's 6 phases, so we'll go over the 6 phases. Phase 1 is called Setup. This, I don't think you actually do on the first round because you're already set up, but when it comes around again, you have to do these things.
Yep.
First thing is getting income. The starting player and the person to their left get 1 gold, while everyone else gets 2 gold.
You actually do the gold part on the first round.
Oh, okay. Next is reveal new information. So you will flip the next unrevealed exhibition and customer.
And that has already been done. I will double check the gold real quick,
Okay.
Jeb. But I believe that actually happens on the first turn.
Okay. The third thing is adding new stuff. So you'll add new food. You'll use the exhibition tile to determine that, and you'll discard leftovers. So any leftovers here would be discarded. New artifacts, you would discard the artifacts that are left there and flip 2 new ones.
It's important, just real quick so you know, like when Jeb's talking about getting rid of these, we haven't gone over this, but every one of these, like here's the pets, these are the spaces for the pets. So there's only enough for 3 people.
For the imps.
Or the imps,
Yeah.
to place your worker or whatever,
Yeah.
okay? So there's always going to be something left in here. No, same with the food. There's only 3. Something's getting taken off. So I think that's kind of a cool part of the game, that there's very limited, and like when we get to how you get to place your imps, you're going to see where the management part of this game is kind of really pretty interesting.
Okay.
Sorry, Jim. And also, I did check on the gold that you don't do first round. You don't do the first 2 steps, and you do the money. So I was correct with that. Everybody's going.
So
You're
you
either going to start with
income, but you forget everything else.
That's correct. So you're either going, depending on your position, 1 through 4, you're either going to start with 3 or you're going to start with 4 by time you actually start doing stuff.
Okay. All right. So I had said flip unrevealed adding stuff. We already talked about the food and the artifacts. Next is the cage. You take the lowest remaining of the cages and put it in the uppermost pit. So the lowest one would be moved up to the top. These 2 would get discarded if
you did
nobody
that
taken them.
Yep.
And then you'll flip 2 new cages to put there. Then the add-ons, the lower one becomes the upper, and then you flip 1 new one.
There's only 1 spot for add-ons to place an imp to, so there's always going to be. So that's what I like a lot about these designs is if you see something you want, you better get it that turn because it could go away.
Yep. After the add-ons are the new pets, and what you do is discard all the upper pets. And when you do that, you will add 1 meat to the stand in the market. After you discard the upper ones and put the meat in there, what you'll do is make the lower guys, they will grow 1, and then you'll move them up.
Okay. So important to note, Jeb just said these guys are going to grow 1. So notice the arrows, you turn it however many it says, not how many it says, just 1. The double arrow is only once you own the pet.
Okay, so like this guy that I'm holding, he would just move up to a size 3.
To a size 3.
And then he would be placed up here.
That's right.
And
also important to note, when Jeb said discard the upper, that's out of the game.
yeah.
So it doesn't go back into the pile upside down or anything.
forever
It's-
gone.
Yep, it's out of the game, so you're not going to be able to get that pet.
So this guy would get discarded. These 3 would grow and move up, or however many's left. And then you would draw 3 new pets to put in the bottom and make them level 2. So every round, more pets will be coming in. And I think that's everything for phase 1. So
Awesome.
after phase 1 is phase 2. That's the shopping.